train on the 4th of July in Pullman.
Well, what makes Pullman special is the role it's played in our history. This place has been a milestone in our journey toward a more perfect union.
On the rim of the fountain at Pioneer Court, the names of some dozen builders of Chicago are carved. Among them, that of George M. Pullman, my grandfather. He came to Chicago in 1855, a young man of 24. And made his first mark on the city, helping to pull it out of the mud by jacking up many of the important downtown buildings to the level of the sidewalks. Several years later, he went by train and stagecoach to Central City, Colorado, where for 2 years he owned and operated gold mines, a sawmill, and a general store. Before returning to Chicago to design and develop his sleeping cars, which so transformed travel that the name of Pullman came to mean all that was comfortable and luxurious in railroad transportation. I like to think that my grandfather's most lasting contribution was the creation of the town of Pullman, Illinois, on the shore of Lake Calumet at 111th Street, Chicago. There, between 1880 and 1884, a whole town grew, the first planned industrial town to be built in this country. It was designed by two young men from the East, Solon S. Beeman, architect, and Nathan Barrett, landscape architect, who were inspired by Mr. Pullman's vision and went to work immediately and enthusiastically. A sewer system, water mains, gas lines, streets, and parks were laid out, and an artificial lake constructed. Car shops, administration building, Florence Hotel, Market Hall, Greenstone Church, school, and the arcade building, a veritable shopping center, complete with theater, library, meeting rooms, shops, post office, and bank, sprang up with amazing speed. Simultaneously, modern, convenient, and attractive houses were taking shape to be rented to workers of all grades. For one of Mr. Pullman's ideas was that good living conditions would encourage good and contented employees. He provided his workmen, as well as his executives, with amenities far from common in 1880. Where else would they have had houses with running water, indoor plumbing, illuminating gas, adequate light, and good ventilation? In August 1881, my grandfather wrote my grandmother, "The place has improved wonderfully since you saw it in June."
Mrs. G. M. Pullman, Long Branch, New Jersey, Pullman Cottage, Chicago, 17 August, 81. My darling wife, I received your nice long letter this morning and enjoyed its perusal very much. Mother came in and went with me to Pullman at 10 o'clock, and we returned at 2. The place has improved wonderfully since June, and I am sure you would be quite delighted to see it. Florence Avenue and all the little parks are now quite complete. There are great quantities of flowers, which, with the trees, shrubbery, and fresh green lawns, makes a beautiful picture. If the hotel was ready for occupancy, I think I would prefer to stay there instead of Chicago. My precious darling, I hope you will be quite and thoroughly rested by the time you receive this. I miss you very much. I am working awfully hard and hope to get away Saturday night. We'll write you again in a day or two. Love and kisses for the children, and a world of love for my darling. Yours always, George.
I have a feeling that nothing Mr. Pullman did gave him greater satisfaction and pleasure than the town of Pullman from its inception until the sad days of the Pullman strike. He died of a heart attack in 1897. And in 1898, the Illinois Supreme Court ruled that the Pullman Land Association must divest itself of all property not needed for industry. As Pullman ceased to be a company town, its population gradually changed, though some families stayed on and have third and fourth generation descendants here today. The town was so well planned and solidly built that now many of its dwellings are sound, habitable, and architecturally well worth saving. In 1969, through the efforts of the Pullman Civic Organization and its Beeman Committee, Pullman was designated an Illinois Historic District, and in subsequent years a national and a Chicago landmark. Pullman today is indeed a living community. Its residents and the 2-year-old Historic Pullman Foundation are dedicated to its restoration and preservation as an example of the enlightened vision of George M. Pullman. This Bicentennial Project film is part of a continuing effort to document the quality of 19th century life in the town of Pullman.